So you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on this.
Hey everybody, Dapper Dino back again, this time with Erik for a somewhat delayed Erik with Erika. Erika, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing just swimmingly.
Well, that's good to hear. I am just off of a bit of a vacation. I had some family in town, and so we hung out, went to some museums, went to some parks, did a whole lot of swimming, did a little bit of drinking.
Ooh.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, there's a resort not far from here that makes a pretty good pina colada by the pool. Complete with a swim-up bar.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, I'm with the class. Swim-up bar is key.
Yeah. Alright, so, unless you got anything for us, I'm gonna start going over the rules for Erik with Erika.
Please do.
Okay.
No, I'm sitting here with a White Claw in hand. I'm ready to watch some Erik Hovind.
I like it. I have some rum and cola. It is the cheapest rum and the cheapest cola that I could find because I am cheap. And I actually just had to buy a new mouse today. My old mouse has been just disconnecting. Just disconnecting.
God.
I thought it might be my USB port, right? So I plugged it into my laptop.
Huge F's in the chat for Dapper's old mouse. That's very sad.
It is, yeah. This mouse has been a trusty mouse for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I think. But now I'm using a different mouse that's a clunky Lenovo mouse that you would get at like a job. It's pretty crappy, but whatever.
Well, and as the law of consumerism goes, that mouse will just last forever. Like until your eventual death, it will last, and maybe through the heat death of the universe.
We'll get to another universe in some other part of space-time, and this mouse will just go floating through it as a mysterious object of alien origin.
Yeah.
All right.
I like to imagine that it actually triggers the next Big Bang.
Okay. So, all right, we got...
In our sickle, we're dealing with the cyclical model, are we not?
Yeah. So we've got the rules for Erik with Erika go as follows. And I can tell, Erika, that you're just trying to delay the start of the video. I can tell.
Ugh. Did I really?
Yeah.
I did, yeah. That is me. Sorry.
All right. So the rules go that this is a bit of a drinking game. However, we do not encourage that you play said drinking game, and if you do, we accept no liability for any damage to person, property, bodily injury, death, dismemberment, or anything of the sort. Please drink responsibly if you choose to drink at all, and also you can choose not to, or you can choose to drink something that's completely non-alcoholic. That's fine too.
But the problem is, if it's alcoholic, you might die of alcohol poisoning, and if it's sugary, you might contract or at least develop diabetes. So, contract would be the back. Yeah, I don't know, we're not contracting. You're developing it, though. I mean, you're gonna get a sugar overload because, boy, oh boy, with the rules that Dapper's about to present, there's a lot of sipping in this game.
Look, yeah, if you're taking chugs of an alcoholic beverage, you're playing this game wrong. It's not a... Oh, there's one of our rules right there.
There we go.
When Mothra or Gonzalo stop by, we take a quick drink for that. So thank you, Mothra. We also take a drink.
Nobody knows what summons them, actually. It's a pure mystery.
No, it's not. Lots of people know. I just have to be careful with who I tell. Because it's been used maliciously. Yeah. Anyway. We also take a drink whenever Erik Hovind gets something right where he's not quoting, and we extend that to his other co-hosts and whatnot, right? We also take a drink.
As always, that's rarer than you think.
Yeah. We also take a drink whenever they say something that is just so stupid we kind of have to. We take a drink, like I said, for Mothra or Godzilla. We'll take a drink for a joke that didn't land, a story that almost certainly didn't happen. It's basically just shower thoughts that they're pretending are real. And also, occasionally, if one of us gets a rather unusual or unlikely prediction right, we'll take a drink for that. And then every once in a while, I'll just sometimes drink if I think it's a great idea because of something crazy that happened that isn't explicitly codified. You know, it's like the 10th Amendment of drinking rules, if you're from America. If you're not, I'm not going to read the United States Constitution to you.
I can't imagine that you ever need to invoke that rule. Like, I always get sufficiently sauced in this game just by following the rules.
Oh, and then...
I've never, ever needed to invoke additional sipping.
Well, Rodent No Last Name for $2 says, just contributing to your liver failure. Thank you very much, Rodent No Last Name. Actually, in this case, you're contributing to the Get Dapper money back for that mouse you just bought fund. That's what that's going towards.
Ooh,
Yep.
very nice.
And unless I
Mouse
can...
fun.
I'm also currently not sure if I need a new car battery or not. I live someplace that likes to kill car batteries. That's not that bad. I mean...
I actually... No, go.
Oh, car batteries really aren't that hard to change out. And I've got electrical training, so I'm not too worried about it. It's just a hassle.
Yeah, I get that. Car stuff is always way more expensive than you anticipate, too. Like, you go in for 4 tires, and then you leave, like, $1,000 poorer. And that's always... I don't know why I'm still surprised by it, but boy am I.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to help out with the potential battery need fund, that's also a thing. But anyway, here we go. Let's get started with some Erik Hovind Battleship Apologetics. And we don't... Well, I know what this episode is about, but Erika doesn't. This is a surprise for her and all the rest of you.
The following program is made possible by the friends and partners of Creation Today, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did man and dinosaurs live together? According to evolutionary science, that's impossible.
But what if science actually proves that the dinosaurs did not live millions of years ago?
Brian Thomas,
my
dinosaur
God.
expert from the Institute for Creation Research, is going to help us answer this question with the latest scientific information.
Oh, is it Buddy, or is Buddy exclusive to AIG?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen this. So basically, this afternoon, I looked through a whole bunch of Battleship Apologetics videos, and I had to find one that wasn't just like, what does the Bible say about, like, I don't know, some stupid thing? Because there was a lot of that. It was like, how to read the Bible. I'm like, I'm not doing a how to read the Bible video. So this was one of the first ones I found that was like a science topic.
This is fine by me. Right off the bat, Marianne Pike looks again like she's been strapped to some kind of explosive that will go off if she doesn't do precisely what Erik said when he says it. I am loving these t-shirts. That's incredible. I love that it specifically says God's journey for mankind since 4000 BC. Like they managed to put a young Earth spin on like what is already effectively an anti-science march of progress, prayer of progress. But they looked at that and they were like, this isn't creationist enough, so let's add a label just so no one mistakes it, you know?
And the thing also that kind of confuses me is like, it seems like we're supposed to be doing some kind of progress through the different poses, but those are all poses used by current Christians in prayer. Like I don't get what message is it supposed to be? What is the message of this? Like you're supposed to start in a semi-prostrate pose and then eventually stand up? Why? How? What is that? How is that an improvement? I don't know. Very confusing to me.
Some poor t-shirt factory had to print these out too. And look, they even got the creationtoday.org there. So they're like, look, lest anyone mistake where this is coming from.
Right.
As if the thing is, big slam here, as if Answers in Genesis would, release a shirt that had neon green on it. As if they would be so tacky.
I'm actually double checking. I think this is the shirt that is in the alpha mask image of Erik Hovind I use in my thumbnails for this show.
Oh my god.
Yep. So
the thing is, I love this shirt so much. I really do almost want to buy one. Like I think this would be very funny to ironically wear around like a science department. Like
do it.
I think everyone would really get a kick out of that.
All right, everybody, 1 in the chat if you want Erika to buy this shirt. 2 in the chat if you think it's okay for her not to. 3 in the chat if you don't care. I'm gonna put a 1 in.
Oh, the thing is that I don't even need much prompting. Like, if I showed up to the bio department with this on, I'm sure everyone would be like, "Oh, damn, is that AIG, CMI, or assorted?" And I'll have to be like, "Can you see the neon green? It's assorted."
We're getting plenty of 1s in the chat. It looks like we might need to get a selfie of you in this shirt.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to do it. I think I'll do. What would be very fun is to do an episode of like the Library of Errors, but I need to get a Kent. I need to get an Erik Hovind book to do it for. You know?
Ooh, yeah.
Because if we're specifically gonna have to cover some Erik content, or maybe I'll just wear it on camera for the next Erik with Erika.
We do have a good counter from Rodent No Last Name, which is 2, don't give them money. I have to say, while I do agree with the sentiment, it's also going to be like a tiny drop in the bucket. So it's sort of like, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to play some more Erik Hovind.
Let's see if this evolutionary
Can we drink for the shirts?
Oh yeah, sure, we'll drink for the shirt. And you said you didn't need random drink triggers.
No. That's true. I did say that, but it's been too long.
Okay.
go extinct.
I love this music. It's so dramatic.
There's a war going on in our world against Christianity.
Are you ready to defend your faith in Christ?
The Creation Today show provides you with the ammunition you need. We prepare you to defend your faith.
Oh my god.
Arm your children and raise up a family who knows the Creator, Jesus Christ.
That seems to be caught in the crosshairs for this.
Yeah. I also love that they couldn't even be bothered to actually do a real 3D effect. It was just a 2D image that pans around and then gets cut up a little bit. Like, come on, guys. You could have hired me for like $100 and I would have given you a much better effect.
I am 99% sure that we have dunked on this exact intro before. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure that in some kind of effort to protect my body and mind, I actually filed this under trauma and cannot remember outside of covering it. I know they've done a lot of green screen. I know there's going to be green screen here in a minute that is very awkwardly placed, but other than that, I can't remember many details.
Okay, well, let's see what happens.
Teaching you battleship apologetics.
Whoa.
Science, history, individual experience, philosophy. Battleship apologetics.
The 4 schools of thought.
From the Creation Today studio in Pensacola, Florida, we want to welcome those of you who are watching from networks around the world or from the other side of your TV or computer screen or even your cell phone. Check this out.
Yeah.
You can get the podcast right there anytime, anywhere.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
I love it.
But so
I really hope this was made in like 2004 or something, because my goodness. You can get it on your phone, guys.
The thing is I feel like too that I owned one of these sauropods here, and I feel, are those not in 2 distinct postures too? Or are those 2 distinct species, like a Titanosaur versus a general sauropod?
So there's definitely 2 different groups of sauropods here. So the sauropod in the foreground looks like it's a significant. Now it's hard to always say from toys because toys are, you know, as accurate as the toy maker cares to make them. But assuming that these are reasonably accurate, the bottom one looks like a much more basal sauropod, but it's hard to actually put it in a particular group. I mean, the feet are always wrong on sauropods, so who knows? But like, I want to say it's sort of like a bad diplodocid or something, but then the background sauropod is clearly some kind of macronarian, like maybe Giraffatitan or something like that. Which is not a Titanosaur.
No, you're absolutely right. I do know enough about dinosaurs to say that, but I don't think that our pal Erik here cares too much about specifics.
I'm sure that Erik doesn't give a damn about sauropod systematics, which, to be fair, I mean, most people don't. So I'm not going to knock him too much for not caring about sauropod systematics, which actually, also to be fair, he hasn't actually said anything stupid about sauropods yet, so we got to give him time.
Oh, I'll say I am more than happy to dunk on both Marianne and Erik for purchasing bad sauropods. I'd feel absolutely no shame in that.
They are all both a little rough around the edges, especially the skull on the background one and the feet on the foreground one.
I'm also a big fan of our theropod pal over here that was initially showing to the right.
Oh, it's
that I'm
horrible.
Love it. I love it.
It looks like a 4-year-old made it out of paper mache.
It looks actually, too, like it's using anatomy from, like, the 1970s.
Yeah.
topic today.
Yes,
We're
it
talking
is.
about dinosaurs. Everywhere it is
Yay.
assumed and taught that dinosaurs lived until 65 million years ago, and that there's this huge evolutionary time gap between dinosaurs and man. But is this really true?
Well, to add to your battleship apologetics,
By the way, guys, for this whole thing, we're just going to assume that every time they say dinosaurs, they mean non-avian dinosaurs. Because I can't stop it every time they say dinosaurs didn't live with man to be like, except the birds. Like, we know that they're dumb about birds.
we have some very
Yeah,
exciting...
that would be like pausing it every time they got some kind of misconception about any kind of radiometric dating wrong. Like, you would just be pausing every 6 or 7 seconds, and it's not worth anyone's time.
Yeah, and now Laserfan also points out that 66 million years ago, this was almost certainly made before the better measurements came to a closer consensus on 66 rather than 65 million years ago. So I'm not going to ding him on that, because I always... Look, it's not fair to anyone to criticize people for getting something wrong that they couldn't have gotten right at the time because of a lack of data in the literature itself.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. I mean, can you even imagine expecting Marianne and Erik, or any of the folks who are actually on their staff, staying up to date on the literature with regard to pretty much any kind of science topic? I mean, the only way that they can get away with proposing what they propose is by being, 20 to 30 years out of date. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. In their newer stuff, I will ding them on something like that. But this, so Battleship Apologetics hasn't been actually broadcast for free in a few years. And the switch over from 65 to 66 was only very recent. So I can't complain too much about most older media getting that date off by a million years. Plus, on the scale of 65 million years, 1 million years is actually not that long a time. It's like...
Yeah, but in the scale of 1,000, it's pretty intense.
That's true.
Historical and scientific ammo to share with you that will blow a hole in the hull of evolutionary timescale.
Whoa.
The Bible is a historical record.
Wow.
Do the scriptures have anything to say about dinosaurs?
No.
The Bible does tell us
No.
in Genesis 1, 24 through 31 that all land animals, as well as humans, were created on day 6. So dinosaurs and man were created on the same day.
Okay.
And the Bible even describes animals that sound like dinosaurs.
No, it doesn't.
In Job 40 and 41,
No.
Behemoth and Leviathan.
Oh, I'm just preemptively drinking for Behemoth and Leviathan being dinosaurs.
Like, lest we remember the conveniently forgotten fact that the Leviathan, just outside of all of the hermeneutics and outside of all of the literary analysis there, Leviathan also just breathes fire.
Right.
Right.
It's described as a fire-breathing sea serpent.
Right, a fire-breathing sea serpent. And not only that, but you'll see in, like, the Gish classics or the Hovind classics, because Hovind likes to crypt from Gish a lot, and from Will Brown. But it's like you'll see in the Hovind and the newer iterations, it's always a Parasaurolophus that's being the fire breather. And I don't think any of these guys would propose that Parasaurolophus was, like, aquatic, which means you're going to have to take the Mosasaur interpretation that these guys are always imposing on Leviathan and have an aquatic marine reptile. I guess that's a double entendre, but a marine reptile that is adapted to breathe fire. Why? Exactly why are we giving the fire breathing ability to a mosasaur?
Also, here's the thing. If they start talking about non-dinosaurs, that means that Erika made that prediction. We have to drink for it.
That's true. We do get to drink for it. But I actually am going to go ahead and drink preemptively again for fire breathing.
Okay.
Here's
All
what
right,
Job
let's
says
do
in
it.
40, 15 through 18.
Oh, here we
about
go.
Behemoth.
This is so cool.
Here
Try
we
to
go.
imagine an animal that fits this description
Okay.
as Marianne reads this.
Guys, we have to imagine. We're imagining.
Behold now, Behemoth, which I made with thee. Day 6 of creation. He eats grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly.
Okay, so it has a navel, so we were already ruling out all reptiles. This has to be a mammal.
Yeah, 100%. It's already a mammal. And
Right.
I'm ready for the cedar thing, because the cedar thing is what they always use. So let us...
He moveth his tail like a cedar tree. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. This sounds a
So
lot like
moves the tail like the cedar tree. That's
Right.
extremely different from the tail is as thick as, or as large as, or drags like a cedar tree. But again, and you'll remember this, those of you who perhaps maybe follow my channel, you'll remember this from a recent video on Genesis apologetics. The behemoth and the Leviathan are primordial like deity creatures. They're not meant to be actual animals. But if we were to refer to them as actual animals, Dapper's right. The naval situation is already ruling out all dinosaurs, or rather all reptiles.
Anything that's not a mammal, actually. Well, actually, not only anything that's not a mammal, anything that's specifically not a eutherian. So it rules out
we're looking at
marsupials.
placental exclusively.
Exactly. Only placental mammals. So we're actually down to, like, hippos and elephants as our only real options for what this could be based on in terms of real creatures.
Well, and curiously enough, when it comes to moving a tail like a cedar, that is to say, jostling the tree around, I mean, both hippos and elephants meet that criteria, but specifically hippos, when they're actually excreting feces and things of that nature, the way that they move their tail is very violent. I mean, if we wanted to attempt to assign this to a real animal, there is absolutely nothing in the description that Marianne Pike is giving that is going to lead it to a sauropod, specifically because the one thing that this thing doesn't mention, which is perhaps the most notable trait of a sauropod, is the neck.
Right.
The long neck. Where's the neck, Marianne?
I also want to point out later on it says that it hides in the reeds and it also, they already said it eats grass. Those are both things hippos do. Hippos actually get most of their food from land. They actually come out at night and eat mostly grass. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, it's like talking about the mouth against the Jordan. It's like, okay, let's think about two animals that do the whole open its mouth against the flow of a river, and it's hippos and it's crocodilians. So navel means it's not crocodilian, so what does that leave? It leaves a hippo, or a primordial chaos deity.
Right.
Which it is.
Sauropod dinosaur.
Yeah, drink for sauropod.
Dinosaur here, which
Or
is
the
a sauropod.
apatosaur right there.
That's supposed to be an apatosaurus? Okay, sure. Why not? Okay. Look,
I wish I had a budget to allot specifically for buying like large replicas of prehistoric animals.
If you do get such a
I would buy that
budget,
at my own dime.
Erika, if you get such a budget, run the dinosaurs by me before you buy them. Just
by all
request.
means.
Okay.
And this is a great opportunity to complain of the lack of hominin figurines that come out of anywhere. So, if you feel the need, maybe I'll start a Kickstarter. I don't know.
Oh, Erika, here's what we gotta do. We gotta get into business together. You provide me with all the anatomical reconstructions from like papers and stuff. I'll 3D sculpt some cool hominins, and then
3D print it.
We'll 3D print them into little toys that we can sell. There you
Beautiful.
go.
Done.
Okay, so we'll bang out the details of our new business enterprise later.
Good deal.
Dinosaur.
This one was jacked up in the front. That one was jacked up in the back.
What?
That one got better gas mouth.
And then we have his
Okay, drink,
tailbone right here.
joke in land.
Oh, right.
Marianne really had to reach deep for that chuckle.
Yeah.
Brachiosaur toe bone.
That's just one. The second knuckle are out of his toe.
Isn't
Look at that.
That's not a knuckle. The knuckles are between the toe bones. I'm drinking for anatomy fail.
That thing. Bars of iron. For real.
Yes. And his legs, oh, that's heavy. His legs were from the shoulder down 21 feet high. And his footprint, you could take a bath in it.
It was huge. Out of
Oh, wait, hold on. We have to play the game. Okay. Erika. What limb is this?
What limb?
Yep, which limb?
That's a rear right?
Are you sure? Is that your final answer?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. Everyone in the chat, play the game. You can type R or L for right or left, and then the next one is going to be either anterior for the front or posterior for the back. So we're going back right leg. Let's see. Does anyone else have a guess?
I can't for the life of me remember whether or not you know what? I think that no. I'm not I'm gonna stick with my answer. That I don't think I'm right, but I know it's probably a back leg though, because if memory serves, the front limbs tend to not have large nails like that or claws.
Okay. So we're getting front right, right posterior. All right, that's enough. I mean, if you haven't guessed at this point, you probably won't. So yes, it is a right back leg. So the back legs.
It was right here.
Yep. There you go. So the back legs have the first 3 claws being prominent. Most sauropod front legs basically don't have any claws except sometimes a thumb claw. And the digit 1 claw is the biggest, and they kind of turn inward. So yep, that is a right back leg. There you go.
Feet high, and his footprint, you could take a bath in it.
It was huge. Out of all the animals in the world, these guys definitely moved their tail like cedar trees.
As do many, many other animals. And actually, being dinosaurs, their tails were actually fairly stiff. They didn't swing around a whole lot.
No doubt about it.
I mean, oh god. I know, I'm just complaining because the thing is that they're talking about just how the argument they're making is just how diagnostic this is of some large creature, and it is. It's meant to be diagnostic of a large creature. It's just not a sauropod. Like, where's the neck, gang?
Yeah, imagine describing a sauropod and describing its anatomy and never once mentioning the neck. The most obvious weird thing about it.
It would be like talking about a giraffe and being like, yeah, it's an ungulate. It's got that kind of this almost spotted, mottled pattern. It's kind of 2 knobby horns on the top of its head, and little legs are kind of long. And someone would be like, oh god, like I guess it's some kind of ambiguous, ungulate, the antelope, something along those lines. And then you're like, oh, it's a giraffe, and they're like, what? Why didn't you mention the neck?
Right.
Thing that describes it. It's the same thing with the sauropod. If you had an ancient person that saw a sauropod, which by the way none of them did, except outside maybe of some kind of skeletal remains, fossil remains, they would be like, damn, it's got a neck like a serpent or something like that, head like a serpent, something along those lines.
Remember when in the Land Before Time they decided to come up with there's Mothra, drink for Mothra. They decided to come up with names for various dinosaur genera, and they were basically...
Yep.
Yeah, what did they call sauropods?
Well, Dapper, wouldn't that be long necks?
It would be long necks. The first thing you would notice about sauropods.
Yeah, just like the theropods are sharp teeth.
Right, exactly. It's like, what is the thing you notice first? So yeah, I think it's almost embarrassing to me just as a person who exists, that there are other people out there who think that Behemoth is reasonably describing a sauropod. But I don't want to belabor it too much more. We're going to get a little bit more Erik in here.
Yeah.
Kids, as I read this next one, I hope you're not getting ready for bed, because you will have nightmares after hearing Job chapter 41.
I guarantee you nothing in Job chapter 41 is as frightening as the various horror movies I watch on like a 4-a-week basis.
Well, I was actually going to say, if anything is scary, it's the still frame of Erik that we're looking at right now. I mean, I know I've said it before, but Erik is my sleep paralysis demon. Like, when I wake up in the middle of the night, unable to move, he's the one I see in the corner of my room. He's telling me, Battleship Apologetics, next episode. I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, not again. It's not a sauropod.
There's Erika paralyzed trying to scream about how much it's not a sauropod.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, the thing I'm more afraid of is that Erik does look like the type of person... I'm not saying that Erik does, eat skin, but if anyone did eat skin, they would probably look like Erik.
Fair enough.
By the way, if your dad ever asks you to read Job chapter 41 before you go to bed, tell him, I love you, Dad, but that'll be kind of scary.
I have literally never had my father come to me with a Bible chapter recommendation for before bed.
Also, I'm really sorry, but there are a lot of chapters of the Bible that are significantly scarier than mentioning the Behemoth or the Leviathan. Like, anything involving the attempted rape of Lot's daughters, or the genocide that occurred during the last plague during the Exodus, or various other genocides that occurred during the breadth of the Old Testament. The crucifixion is pretty scary. All of Revelation. It's like there's so many chapters of the Bible that are genuinely kind of spooky in and of themselves. How about descriptions of angels? They're just a bunch of wheels with wings and eyes. That is so much scarier than any animal mentioned in Job.
Agreed. But also, Shanti for $2 says, "You and me, Shutter Movie Night, make it happen." I mean, you know where to find me. You know where to find me. Probably not tonight, though, because after this, I think I'm going to go hang out with G-Man, believe it or not. Contrary to, for $5 from Rodent No Last Name, contrary to popular belief, sauropods could not raise their heads or necks much above their shoulders any higher, and their vertebral locks. So that actually depends by group. So that is more true for diplodocids and more basal sauropods, as well as some sauropodomorphs. However, for some of the more derived groups, like especially derived macronarians like titanosaurs, their necks actually were probably pretty high up at the neutral pose. So it does vary, but that is all. It is true for many of them. But here we go.
Here's what Job 41 says as it describes Leviathan. Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal.
Which actually, I don't think accurately describes dinosaurs generally, because dinosaur scales, when they had scales, which most of them did, tended to be what are called reticulate scales, so there's little round bumpy bits. And there's actually considerable gaps between them, especially because, circles don't tile perfectly, so you're always getting these little gaps. However, an animal that does have scales that fit tightly together and don't have any obvious gaps are snakes, with their fun overlapping scales, which are basically unique to snakes. Yeah. So far, we're describing a snake.
One is so near the other that no air can come between them. By his neesings, a light doth shine, and his eyes are the eyelids of the morning.
None of that means anything to him, but okay. Or to me, sorry.
Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of a seething pot or cauldron. His breath kindleth coals, and a flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth...
I'm not sure. I think what it means is that, like, if he just opens his mouth, it's going to be, like, hot like smoldering coals are.
Well, I mean, literally, if you go back, like, exactly one frame, you can see that Erik reads kindleth as killeth. He kindleth, he says killeth coals. So if it breathes fire, why is it killing the coals? Would it not inflame them further?
I think that's just a slip up on Erik's part.
I'm going to drink because I struggle already to read coherently, especially on stream. But I at least correct myself usually when I bungle it. Erik's just like, I screwed it up. Hopefully no one notices. I noticed.
Flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. When he raiseth up himself, the mighty are afraid. That means no matter how big and tough you thought you were, if you saw this guy, you'd wet your pants. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if I saw a giant fire-breathing snake, that I would, in fact, be fairly scared about it. Good thing we don't have any records of giant fire-breathing snakes actually existing.
Yeah, Marianne almost sprains her voice box every time she tries to laugh at one of Erik's jokes. Speaking of which, I'm going to go ahead and drink for Wet Your Pants. It was very funny.
There we go.
No doubt. What could this be? Some have suggested Leviathan could be Sarcosuchus.
Not a dinosaur. You called it. Take a drink. Sarcosuchus. Okay.
Okay, that's not a drink for calling anything. That is a drink for... Because I was thinking mosasaur. Now, while it's not a dinosaur, I am still drinking because that is so ridiculously dumb.
Yep. Oh, hey, I was about to tell everyone what Sarcosuchus is, but they're about to tell us, so thanks, guys.
Yeah, Sarcosuchus, really cool name. An extinct crocodile, super croc, found in the fossil record that was over 35 feet long.
So that's actually reasonably accurate. I don't actually think it was technically a crocodilian, but like, whatever. Crocodilomorph. Well, so they're all pseudosuchians now because of shifts around in the actual animals involved in various clades that have already been defined.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but I think it was actually like a crocodiliform, which is, I mean, if you're not someone who's really into like the systematics of like crocodile ancestors, it's a crocodile. That's fair enough. I'm gonna actually drink for them, basically being right about that.
Yeah, I'm okay with drinking for that too, because it's when I describe Sarcosuchus to people, I'm like, imagine a very large crocodile that's capable of galloping. Right, that's usually how I describe it. And
yeah, that's reasonable.
Sarcosuchus, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's not technically a crocodile, but that's the closest extent that people tend to be able to equate.
Yeah, I just double checked. It is a crocodile form. It's not technically a crocodilian. But that's, like I said, that's one of those things where it's just like, okay, buddy. Like, if I'm not talking to an actual paleontologist and I get that pedantic, I'm being a jerk.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. You know, I think that that's actually pretty good. I'm actually mildly impressed that they went with Sarcosuchus, because while it's very silly to propose for a fire breather, Sarcosuchus isn't typically well known as an organism to the general public. So they dug deep for that one.
Unless you play Ark, where it's one of their better reconstructed animals is Sarcosuchus.
I didn't know that, but I don't play Ark, so.
Ark is it's a fun game, but I recently uninstalled it because it just kept growing in size because they would release all these expansions, and I have to download the expansion, but unless I unlock it by giving them the money, I can't use it, so it's just sitting on my hard drive, and eventually it got to be this gigantic set of files that I wasn't using enough, and I was just like, no, get out of here.
Yeah, you can always re-download if you feel like it too. You know, it's just not. It's a little bit of time. It's nothing too bad.
I'd just re-download it overnight or something if I want to play it the next day. But anyway, if they call Sarcosuchus a dinosaur, we're drinking.
The problem, verse number 25 says that he raiseth himself up. Sounds like it could be the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh my! I mean, that is even stupider. It's a sea monster, Erik. What about? I'm drinking first.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Nothing about
any Tyrannosaur, any theropod, like floundering around in any kind of
hold
water
on,
body.
Back up. Not any theropod. I can imagine many theropods like Halscaraptor or penguins or Spinosaurus or cormorants doing just fine in the water.
Okay, described like Leviathan though?
Yeah, that's no.
Are you bringing penguins up with fish hooks? Like, not typical. The way, like, through their nostrils too. The way.
Oh well, I'm just ignoring the fire breathing thing because no one can fire breathe. So.
Yeah, no one can fire breathe. But on top of that, it's like the scales combined with the bronze body combined with the maw. It's just like this whole animal is being described. Like Mosasaur is such low. I honestly can't believe we gave them credit for calling it Mosasaur, because that's like low-hanging fruit.
I mean, if you're gonna go theropod, at least go Spinosaurus, right?
At least go the most well-known, at least semi-aquatic animal that could even remotely fit the bill.
And be a dinosaur.
Right?
I still think Sarcosuchus was a better option. They should have just stuck with it. But now we're going into really, really weird territory with T-Rex. Although, actually,
Marianne got overridden.
Kent actually made a video where he claimed that Tyrannosaurus was the Leviathan. So I think Erik is still getting this from his dad.
Oh, did Kent do that? Because that's 100% where it's coming from.
And this was post the move to Alabama too. So this was not like a Kentovan classic from decades ago. This was a fairly recent one.
Well, yeah, I mean, Erik tries not to use that classics as much because they clock him so quickly as being a Hovind-esque call. But that being said, he's certainly not immune to it. I'm very surprised. You think they arrived to? You think it was a convergent a conclusion, or do you think that it was lineage?
Right. All right. Well,
which do you think? You think he got it from him, or he came up with it on his own?
I think that he got it from his dad.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I very much doubt, as alike as they are, I don't think that Erik has the I don't think he had the experience to draw that conclusion. Although T-Rex is the classic dinosaur, so it's pretty easy to be like, it sounds kind of like a big animal, big monster, T-Rex, I guess.
Yeah. Well, also, I don't know about Erik, but Kent seems to just lump the vast majority of theropods into T-Rex. He once was complaining about Disney World or something, saying that birds had evolved from T-Rex, and so as evidence, he shows this picture that shows a raptor evolving into Donald Duck. And it's like, dude,
oh my god,
what do you think T-Rex is? And then in response to people correcting him on that, he was like, well, it's a two-legged dinosaur. How many dinosaurs are two-legged? And I'm like, most of them. That's the default condition for all dinosaurs. Quadruped dinosaurs evolved from biped dinosaurs.
I mean, biped dinosaurs are appearing like right after, like you start seeing the real establishment of these bipedal dinosaurs at like early Triassic.
Right.
I can't even imagine being even adjacent to a single paleontology book and making that claim. Shocking. That Monkey for Banana in the side chat says, that's our friend Marshall, says that Kent still thinks Triceratops is an overgrown chameleon. Absolutely incredible.
Yes, he does.
I love that he still claims that too, because you see a chameleon and you're like, what are the two things you notice about a chameleon? The eyes, the tongue, and maybe the tail as a third.
Oh, I noticed the feet too. They're very strange.
Yeah, and the feet, right, precisely, and the nature of the vertebra too, the way that the back arches.
Also,
none of these are animal.
Also, let's notice that chameleons don't have beaks, but Triceratops does.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, Kent is putting a whole lot of eggs in the developmental basket for that too. I mean,
that's some wild ontogeny.
Yeah, dude, it's a big metamorphosis.
Imagine
they climb up in the tree, they build a cocoon. It's all good.
Imagine if after embryonic development, you managed to sprout 2 new jawbones that no other animal has.
Prehensile tail. How about that?
We get to lose that.
Yeah, lose. Yeah, sorry. I'm going from prehensile to non-prehensile.
And then your like 2 sets of stuck together opposing digits have to turn into 4 separated digits that are all spread out to create a support for a very heavy creature.
Right, you're going from something that is somewhat sprawling outside of its clamoring to a weight-bearing quadruped. This is, I mean, we could talk for so long about how absolutely batshit crazy the chameleon thing is, but hopefully Erik isn't going to go there.
Let's find out.
Hey, I don't know if he breathed fire or not, but if he did, that would make him even cooler.
Technically correct. I will drink. You don't know if he breathed fire, and it would make T-Rex even cooler. That is technically true.
Also, don't you... Oh my god. Okay, yeah, additional drink too for the whole... Yeah, I understand that, a third of this text dedicated to Leviathan is about how it breathes fire, but that might be like metaphorical. We're not sure if it did that.
Also drink from Mothra.
Yeah, that's good. It's absolutely incredible to me that the let's see, what's the word? The weight of the text is so up for grabs depending on the mood of the evangelical interpreter. He's like, yeah, it might have been a breathed fire, it might not have breathed fire. Who really cares? It's still cool. It's like, sir, this is an art.
That would be really cool. Job is said to have lived during...
She really does look like she's being held captive. I think that necklace is secretly explosive. And like Erik has the remote under the table.
I mean, maybe this is a little harsh. You look into her eyes and you just see the cry for help, right? Like this look in particular is like she's about to start blinking in Morse code. She's like, please send help. The necklace is, a pressure activated guillotine like structure. It will instantly decapitate me if I say anything off script. You know, and Eric's sitting over there like daring poor Marianne Pike to make a move. Poor Marianne. I wonder where she's at now. I hope she's doing well.
Yes, and not buried somewhere on Erik Hoven's ministry-owned property.
Well, knowing Erik, he probably would bury Marianne out at DAL to incriminate his father.
That's a better option. All right, we can't go too far into the conspiracy theories about a murdered woman who, as far as we know, is still alive and well. But also, for $2 dues from Thrill the Dwarf of the House of Torg, says fire-breathing T-Rex in flippers? Yeah, that's basically what we're going for here. Also, I want to point out that the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's not just flippers. We're putting flippers on the hind limbs, and on the front limbs, our poor little front limbs, we're using one of those, like, robot grabbers that we then attach flippers.
I also want to point, we actually do have skin impressions from T-Rex, and it had fairly ordinary dinosaur reticulate scales in the areas that we have impressions for. So the scale description just doesn't fit T-Rex, I'm sorry.
Oh, rip.
In fact, unless you could look at a T-Rex up close, it would actually not really look like it even had scales.
I didn't know that.
Well, the reticuli are only a few millimeters across, so it's covered in this fine covering of very shallow bumps. And so, like from a distance, yeah, it would basically look like it just had smooth skin, like a clutch chicken or something.
Huh.
What would God have used such an illustration for if Job had not seen this actual dinosaur?
I think...
Okay, I'm taking a drink, and I'm going to go into some literary analysis here. Okay, so here's the thing about using descriptions of impressive beasts. They remain impressive as long as your audience is receptive to it, right? Like, you could say, what was the point of Tolkien describing a Balrog unless his audience had seen a Balrog? What are you talking about? That's not how language works. That's not how literature works.
Well, another classic of that is, I absolutely love this notion, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it later, but I'm cool with going on this rant kind of early, a mini rant early, is this whole idea of, holy shit, look how many different cultures have dragons and these kind of semi-reptilian sounding beasts of myth in their established mythologies. And it's like, hi, yes, a lot of them have monsters. A lot of them have, you know, human-animal hybrids or shapeshifter trickster gods. That doesn't mean that they also saw and lived with those kinds of critters, right? It's like, if you're going to use the unification of kind of this archetype that appears in human cultures, it's all or nothing, baby. You know, you've got to either accept that trickster gods are indeed real and they did live with and walk with man, and so did dinosaurs, or neither did.
Yeah. All right.
He could see. He said, behold now. I think he could actually see them. Mm-hmm. You know, it is important to note that the word dinosaur is not found in the Bible anywhere. However...
That's not at all important to point out.
Oh God, they bring this one up every single time too, and I cannot express to them every time I've encountered them in person, but to you guys here, how much no one cares and it doesn't matter. Right? Like,
sorry.
It just doesn't matter.
Carrie Bronson for $5 says, how is Battleship Apologetics somehow dumber than the actual Battleship movie? It's a good question. But yeah, that's it's just such a non-point, because the thing is, if the Bible unambiguously described like a Triceratops or something, I am not going to sit here and like push up my glasses and say, well, you know, it doesn't use the word dinosaur, because of course it doesn't. It was written thousands of years ago. No one, okay, I can't say that for certain. Anyone who is pushing the idea that the reason the Bible doesn't describe dinosaurs is because it doesn't use that word is an idiot, and I don't know of anyone doing it. I suspect there isn't anyone doing it. But if you are doing it, stop, because it's stupid. And the only reason Erik is stupid here is because, as far as I can tell, no one is actually making this point. But let's hear him go into how dinosaur wasn't coined until 18 whatever, because it doesn't matter when it was coined.
The words frequently used in Scripture would be dragon or Leviathan. See, the word dinosaur was just invented in
God.
Yeah. And the thing is, okay, if the Bible described a dragon and the description fit that of a dinosaur, I wouldn't object to calling it a dinosaur. And yeah, the word dinosaur was coined in 1841 by Sir Richard Owen. I'm calling that as a prediction. I'm drinking.
1841 by Sir Richard Owen. He was the curator of the British Museum of Natural History.
And a creationist.
And he used this word to classify the dragon kind. Dinosaurs.
Wait, is Erik claiming all of Dinosauria is a single kind?
I think that's what he did, and I will say that's new.
I've never heard that. And also, that is a whole heck of a lot of morphological diversity to shove into one kind. That's way more morphological diversity than, say, between a human and a tiger.
Well, I mean, a human and a tiger, yeah, all of Mammalia, like, take the furthest placental away from humans and draw that line. But it's also really, really funny to me, and I'm sure everyone else in the chat, most of you guys are familiar with the concept of kinds, but it's like, how far this is from the traditional idea, like the mainstream idea of the dinosaur kinds, right? Like, Erik really is up here suggesting that we took like a Triassic dinosaur kind onto the ark, and then in like the first 50 years they diversified into every dinosaur kind and then went extinct.
Look, all you need is like Coelophysis, and you can, from the ark, derive all of the dinosaur kinds in about 300, or all the dinosaur species in about 300 years, and then they can all go extinct, I guess. Thanks, Coelophysis.
Yeah, thank you, Coelophysis. Exactly.
Literally means terrible lizard.
Well, let's look at some evidence that supports the existence of these terrible lizards in recent history.
Ooh, good.
How about dragons? I mean, there's lots of different cultures around the world that have legends of dragons preserved in their...
Yep, that's...
dragons.
Yep, it turns out multiple people having vaguely similar stories isn't evidence that those stories are based on something true. Also, the diversity in legendary dragons is absurd.
Dude, one of my favorite things is looking at the phylogeny of like sky and fire gods, because most cultures have those, so they must be real and walked with man.
Oh,
and
obviously.
I really do love looking at that sister clade, you know?
Well, so you can even just pick like a particular like specific deity. Like, you know how many cultures have either have a deity descended from or who have adopted some version of the Indo-European Skyfather? It's like a huge... It's basically all of Asia, except for the very far eastern parts, all of Europe, and parts of North Africa, and the Middle East.
Well, and how surprising, how utterly shocking is it that from a small group of Homo sapiens attempting to leave Africa 180,000 years ago, and then permanently doing so 50,000 to 70,000 years ago, that we have a lot of archetypes that unify different cultures, because our species just hasn't been around that long. And our recorded species has been bobbing around for what, 10,000 years? Something like that, agricultural. So it's like, wow, shocking.
Also, Zach Brannigan points out next D&D book is Dragons. I hope it has non-Western dragons in it too. I hope so too. But also, I remember the 3.5 Dragon book. Man, I read that thing so many times. It had such great info. And a lot of... Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that book. Maybe I'll put it on my wish list, because I do wish for it.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Hey, we're really close, I know, to the intermission, and I really have to pee. So is that possible?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's go on an intermission. We're a tiny bit early, but that's fine. All right, everybody.
Like 2 minutes. I gotta take care of biology, though. You know how it is.
Well, we will be back in approximately 4 minutes, so stay tuned. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. If you want to, there's links to join the channel, whatnot. Do what you want. But here we go.
Perfect.
I want to take a moment to talk about something serious. There is a problem facing late surviving non-avian dinosaurs in modern America. hunting is very strictly regulated, and only allowed at certain times of the year. This means that for much of the year we have to rely on farm-raised food, which means money. If you want to help a starving dinosaur, please consider donating on Patreon, or buying from my merch store. Links are in the description. Please help. Dinosaurs all over YouTube are depending on you to help them through the hunting off-season.
Oh, Nani? Dare? Oh, Ojira desu ka? Hai, Gojira-san. Hai.
Alright guys, we are back, and before we start back up with the video, I have 2 super chats to read out, so thank you very much. First, for $5 from Carrie Bronson, better terrible lizard with a Godzilla emoji, which means we take a drink because we drink for people super chatting the Godzilla emoji.
We do.
That counts as, Godzilla or Mothra coming by to say hi. And by the way, if anyone would like to be able to use the Godzilla emoji, it is a perk for joining the channel. There is a link below this video. You can click on the thing that says Join Channel, and it starts at $1.99. You get access to videos early via my community tab. You can message me for a link to my private Discord server for just supporters, and you get access to a whole bunch of different emojis. So
you get special emojis that make Dapper and I have to drink. It's very funny.
And for $9.99, those are both US, from Vandalia 1998, he says, going to Rochester, New York this weekend to meet my 16-month-old newborn niece. Can you be newborn and 16 months old? I'll allow it. For the first time...
I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, there we go. For the first time, now that I'm fully vaccinated and we are still waiting for you two to have your debate showdown. Well, first I want to say congratulations on getting to meet your niece. I remember the first time I met several of my nieces, and I remember the first time I met my youngest nephew. It was not that long ago. So it's always a fun time when you do that. And as far as our debate showdown, Erika, we do still need to have a debate showdown. We have multiple disagreements.
We do, and they're all very extreme, very worldview based.
Yeah, right. Like
Dapper and I agree on very little.
It's true. Like, for instance, who won Godzilla vs. Kong?
Okay, I did finally see the movie, so that does help. And I think that there's a little bit of Kong prejudice going on over at Warner Bros.
Is it?
I don't think you get to give Godzilla first billing and then expect poor Kong to win, even though he's got an incredible axe and did some badass stuff.
Yeah, but
he did get a little nerf.
The Godzilla axe had to be made, or sorry, the Kong axe had to be made out of Godzilla fin.
Yeah, that's true. That's exactly true. Kong's whole thing is supposed to be that he's got, like, incredible intellect, but Godzilla was just also really smart.
Well, the thing is, in some of the Toho movies, Godzilla actually has lines.
See, and that I could certainly more work with. Also, I'm not crazy. Like, I feel like the odds were stacked against my boy, a little bit, because the first fight was in the middle of the ocean.
Oh yeah, that's not a fair fight. But the second fight that he also lost was in the middle of Hong Kong.
That's true, but then it was 1-1, right? It should technically be a tie.
No. That was 2-0 Godzilla, and then it was a tag team fight between Godzilla and Kong and Mechagodzilla that Kong and Godzilla won.
Yeah, Kong and Godzilla beat the shit out of Mechagodzilla because Mechagodzilla sucks and is a bad kaiju. But
what?
If memory serves, there were 3 full fights. There was the first one in the water, there was the first one in Hong Kong, and then there was the second one in Hong Kong that Godzilla stepped on Kong's chest. Right? That was also, there were 2 Hong Kong fights.
I kind of count those as one fight, but I guess if you want to, yeah, you could call it 2-1 Godzilla. I'll allow that.
Right, but technically, if you agree that our boy got dunked on by doing a water fight that was unfair, it should technically be 1-1.
Look, monkeys can swim. Get better. Get good, Kong.
No. Monkeys can swim. Apes are much worse at it.
Apes are monkeys, and you know what? I've seen plenty of really good humans at swimming. Like, look at Michael Phelps.
Allow me to rephrase. Cercopithecoids can swim. But hominoids are very poor at swimming, except for the fattest ape, which is Homo sapien.
All right, we're going to get some Erika in here. But thank you for that nice distraction, Vandalia 1998.
Thank you, Vandalia.
In their heritage and in their storytelling.
Yeah. Well, in the literature of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh slew a dragon called Fafnir.
What?
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to take a whole big drink because every bit of that was amazing.
Also, how Gilgamesh is... I'm really sorry for coming after Marianne like this because I'm sure Erik did the same thing or would do the same thing and has done the same thing. But I don't know how you mispronounce Gilgamesh.
Yeah, so here's the thing about Fafnir. Fafnir is a dragon in Norse mythology. We're talking like 6,000 years or so after Gilgamesh comes about. Gilgamesh did not fight Fafnir because the people who invented Fafnir lived thousands and thousands of years after the people who invented Gilgamesh. I'm taking a second drink because of how absurdly insane all of this is, and also for how bad that picture is. Also, why does Gilgamesh kind of look like a gnome?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why this was the picture they went with. Like, why is Gilgamesh hurting a poor sauropod? What would a sauropod ever do to Gilgamesh?
Be big and impressive?
Yeah, have what is it?
I mean, if you're a trophy hunter, that's all it takes.
Loins?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said have loins of bronze.
Yes. Gilgamesh will not let this stand. But I want to hear what else they get wrong about Gilgamesh. Here we go.
And in the Angkor Temple of...
Oh, nothing. We're just going to leave it at Gilgamesh fighting
Oh my
Fafnir.
god, yes! Drink
Right.
for the top from Stegosaur. Drink
Oh my
for the
goodness.
top from Stegosaur.
Cambodia. There's that carving that looks exactly like a Stegosaurus.
Okay, so here's a few things. Stegosaurus has a very long, skinny neck. This guy doesn't. Stegosaurus doesn't have weird brow horns. This guy does. Stegosaurus has a beak. Jurassic World. This guy doesn't. By the way, I'm saying that because Jurassic World, you had a plateless, beakless Stegosaurus.
So I want. This is a great kind of moment for me to come in because I've been to Ta Prohm. Like I've been to the entire Angkor Wat, etc. complex in Cambodia, and what they never show with the Ta Prohm Stegosaur is the other animals that are depicted in relief. And what you see that looks kind of like the plates on the back of this quote-unquote Stegosaur, it's vegetation in relief. It's what you can see on every single other animal above and below this quote-unquote Stegosaur.
It's a floral pattern.
Yeah. Excuse me, where is the Thagomizer?
That was what I was getting to next.
Where is the Thagomizer? Like, again, one of the most notable portions of a stegosaur just completely missing. They were like, I know that this is really unique, but what if we just didn't include it? We
Also,
could. Let's just not.
Here's something more subtle. Stegosaurus, like almost all dinosaurs, had much bigger hind legs than forelimbs because dinosaurs are ancestrally bipedal. So they get, even the quadrupeds, most of them get most of their propulsive force from the hind legs. They're hind leg dominant.
Shocking.
Hey, Creation Myths. It's okay if you're in the wrong chat.
Oh no, is Creationist here instead? Yeah.
I think he's in both places. So welcome, Creation Myths.
Dapper and I will be attending a very fun conversation after this. We're hoping the Creationist holds out, but we don't know. He's really holding down the entire fort over there.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going in and saying hi to G-Man after this.
We really want to go. Both Dapper and I are planning on going and hanging out with G-Man after this. We both love G-Man. This is a G-Man friendly zone.
Usually.
Mostly because we really want G-Cat. I've never seen G-Cat. Yeah. Everyone's seen G-Cat besides me, so I'm very bitter about that.
If we could get a G-Cat appearance, I would be happy. But anyone, including Dr. Dan, if you want to put the link to where we're going to be headed after this, feel free.
Into the wall of that temple, and this temple is somewhere between like 8 and 1,200 years old.
Wow. And the Chinese Zodiac.
I want to know what what dinosaur has antlers, guys. Let me know. Get back to me. Which dragon or dinosaur? Sorry, I keep saying dragon because I have it on screen. Which dinosaur has whiskers, a beard, and antlers, and a body like a snake?
You really do love to see it. You love to see this kind of like it's so convenient. It's so force fit. The second it's like, can we interpret this strange animal as some kind of dinosaur? And any other time that hermeneutics should be utilized, it's just like, no. You got to go strictly on what the text says and what the text says alone, or else you're a heretic. It's like, okay.
Also, I want to point out, there is actually a dinosaur on the Chinese Zodiac. It's bottom row, second from the left. That's
Rooster.
Chicken. Yeah, that's the actual dinosaur on here.
Includes a dinosaur with other present-day animals.
No,
why create a mythical animal to go along with 11 non-mythical animals?
Because the people at the time believed they were real. I'm just taking a drink. This is absolutely insane.
It feels like a complete shitpost to like slowly zoom in on an Asian dragon. Like anyone who, this is going to come as a shock to many viewers who watch the Classic channel, but I used to be a huge dragon fan. Like as a kid growing up, dragons were my whole deal. I loved them. And that included owning copies of things like Dragonology, How to Train Your Dragon, the books, not the movie, although the films were fun as well. And one thing that most dragon books made a huge distinction on is the difference between like an Asiatic dragon or an Asian lung dragon versus Western dragons. Like you can't just separate the two. They're entirely different organisms, even if you're looking at just the mythology presented. I mean, one is very magic and is benevolent and symbolizes good luck and tends to be very serpentine, along with features mixed with other kinds of locally found organisms, that being the Asian lung dragon. And the other is very malevolent. It's seen as this, cat-winged, very harmful, very negative creature that symbolizes greed, and that's your European dragon. So it's like, I don't know. It just seems really lazy here, especially because where I learned that was like a book for babies.
I also want to point out, let's say we go to a different Zodiac, like the Western Zodiac, which has a centaur, but also just a crab. Why would they put a made-up animal in with a real one? Oh my god! Yeah, thanks. Does this mean that centaurs are real because it's in the Western Zodiac, and so are crabs?
As a proud goat mermaid, or Capricorn, for those of you out there who don't subscribe to astrology, I resent not having a real animal, but I'm also very happy having a goat mermaid as my mythical star sign.
But that must mean that crabs are mythical or goat mermaids are real, because why would they both be in the Zodiac at the same time?
Yeah, they must be real. That's true. That's absolutely true. And why did they
remember, it could also be the crabs are mythical.
It could be, yeah. Crabs are actually a myth that have been perpetuated by the FBI, much like birds.
big seafood. They're
That
actually
big seafood. All imitation crab, all of it.
There is no real crab for it to imitate. It's all just a conspiracy.
Real crab is a myth.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, it's interesting because dragons have always been a huge part of Chinese culture.
Yeah, they have.
That's true.
Huge.
Take a drink.
Bishop Bell's tomb in the what's the cathedral called?
Hey, I just want to point out that guy on the left has 2 heads. Find me a 2-headed dinosaur.
Oh my god, can we please get the Serpa part in here too?
Oh, it might be coming. I would not be surprised because we're hitting all the classics.
We are hitting all the classics here. Greatest hits.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Carlisle Cathedral in England. That tomb actually has a brass border, and carved into the brass border are 2 sauropod dinosaurs.
One of whom has a head on its tail, Eric. Think about that. Plus, the legs are all wrong. Let's go back a little bit. I can get this mouth to do what I want. So, okay, we've got very bendy legs. You know what sauropods had? Very columnar legs. And these things have ears. They have external ears. They're mammals with exaggerated features.
Wow, shocking that Erik Hovind could be wrong about something, especially something that the ancient people groups who actually made these kinds of reliefs knew about. I'm so floored. I'm so shocked.
Well, also, this is Carlisle Cathedral. This is like the late medieval period. So, Erik Hovind apparently thinks that, 600 years ago, there were sauropods stomping around England.
The thing is that I honestly think that that's not that far off.
But that actually is what he thinks.
Yeah, I think that because most of these guys, oftentimes, and I was recently at the Creation Museums, I can say this for certain, St. George's Dragon, a lot of, Marco Polo, a lot of stuff that's, past 5,000 years is being referenced as, look, see? Dinosaurs were still lurking around. It's like, hey, pal? No. I'm really sorry, but no.
Yeah.
How come your description doesn't match any known dinosaur? I mean, it's to the point where people will take AIG will take very, very kind of uncertain accounts of St. George, and they'll be like, look, it's a baryonyx. It's like, hey, no, it's not.
Yeah. Also, I double checked. So, Carlisle Cathedral was first built in the 12th century. So, the absolute earliest that this could be from is the 11th century. However, I'm trying to look for the earliest burial because this is in a tomb. And yeah, the earliest burial is from 1278. So apparently, Erik is under the impression that at least around 1278 or a little bit earlier, so, about 800 years ago, there were just sauropods in England. It's weird how they don't mention it anywhere in, the Anglo-Saxon chronicles.
Yeah, any of the different kinds of means by which peasants can actually account for these kinds of things, censuses, festivals, daily chatter where they'll be like, holy crap, I saw a fox today. It's like, oh, but I didn't notice a several-ton sauropod marching across the horizon. It's like, all right, cool. We're definitely being...
Sorry. The closest we get in the Anglo-Saxon chronicles, which for people who don't know, during the Anglo-Saxon period, we have these things called chronicles where people would write down the year and then major things that happened in the year as sort of record keeping. And in one entry for 1 year, I don't remember which year, it says, dragons descended upon the land with great hunger. But I don't think that would describe sauropods, because sauropods don't really descend upon the land and frighten everyone with their great hunger. They would probably just go eat some trees and get out of there.
Well, also it's I don't know, dragons are usually described more than just oh my god, it's a dragon. Usually it's oh my god, a dragon with, a spiny back and powerful wings and a fire, flaming nostrils, things like that, descended upon the land. It's I think long necks would again probably be noted.
Yeah. Let's see what else Erik has for us.
Brass border are 2 sauropod dinosaurs. This is only less than 600 years old.
Oh, he just admits it. It's less than taking a drink for Erik. Actually, like I predicted, Erik thinks that there were dinosaurs roaming England 600 years ago.
Drink for an admission.
And a prediction.
And it looks like they still knew about the dinosaurs.
Yeah, well, in the 16th century, Chateau du Bois has a relief depicting a creature that has been called a salamander, but it's breathing fire.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about salamanders. Salamanders are not often seen unless you go looking for them, right? But one of the places...
They're hard to find. They're as critters, unless it's their breeding time period, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like their season specifically. You're not going to run into salamanders out in the open. That's not their nature.
Right. However, one of the places they like to hide is in rotting wood, because it's warm and moist, and in the colder months, it's an easy place to stay safe. And if you take such a log and put it on your fire, what's likely to come out of the fire? A salamander.
Oh my god, they breathe fire? Dapper, is that what you're saying?
Well, so what I'm saying is that in early medieval times, salamanders became associated with fire because people thought that they were spawned out of the fire, because when they would put logs in their fire, sometimes salamanders would pop out.
This is like biogenesis shit here. I mean,
it is. But we're long before, the law of biogenesis was kind of thrown out.
Yeah, precisely. It's like, God, this is like the kind of thing too where it's like, wow, I heard a thunderclap and then I saw lightning, so it must be gods up there slamming hammers into, celestial anvils. It's hearsay based off of observations that made sense to the people at the time. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that there are doesn't mean that salamanders breathe fire or that gods are hanging out, hitting anvils with celestial hammers.
And it also means that animal depicted, it's probably actually supposed to be a salamander that's breathing fire, because they were thought to be fire creatures. In fact, that also carries all the way to today in the D&D monster, the salamander, which is in fact an inhabitant of the elemental plane of fire.
Or, by the way, in modern animation, like in Disney's Frozen 2, actually, where the salamander character is the elemental of fire.
There you go. So, also, that didn't look like any identifiable actual dinosaur, which is one of the commonalities here. You can't actually point to any of these carvings and say which dinosaur it is, and have that be a reasonable inference.
Well, and what's a cool thing about dinosaurs, Dapper, is that all of them, or at least the vast majority of them, at the family or genus level, have classic diagnostic characteristics, as most animals that have their own classification tend to have. So, boy, isn't it strange that so many of our dinosaurs have so many, quote-unquote dinosaurs, have so many mythical characteristics, like fire-breathing, or missing limbs, or added limbs, etc.
But the same cultures are capable, usually, of depicting extremely realistic and detailed animals that we do know were existing there, like cattle and goats and tigers and leopards and whatnot, right? They can depict all these things without any ambiguity.
Well, shoot, cavemen, whether we're talking about ancient hominins from Homo erectus onward, or specific hominins like specific sort of almost extant or modern hominins like Neanderthalensis or Denisovans or Floresiensis or Homo sapiens or Homo heidelbergensis, it's like you look at their cave art and you're like, oh, wow, that's the woolly rhino. Because what else would it be? They're not bad at art, It's like they know what they're trying to depict.
Yeah. It's usually very good art, too. Like, you can tell, oh, this is a cave lion. Oh, this is an aurochs. Oh, this is, some woolly rhino or something, right? Like, we can tell. It's not a question. In fact, we actually have some information about the life appearance of these animals from cave art. Like, we know that cave lions probably had the same basic coloring as modern lions, because that's how humans drew them in caves tens of thousands of years ago.
Yeah, because shock and awe, people have always liked drawing pictures of things.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's get a little bit more in here.
Do salamanders breathe fire?
No, but neither did dinosaurs, lady. I'm taking a drink for that question.
They have dorsal spines and scales on their skin?
I mean, no, but when your primary interaction with salamanders is weird lizard things that pop out of your logs, I can see why you might embellish that with scales. But either way, it's still not an identifiable dinosaur.
The thing is, it's just such an easy thing to prove, too. Like, Marianne Pike or Erik Hovind could just go buy salamanders and find out for themselves if salamanders are capable of breathing fire or have any kind of affinity for a fire. Of course, they don't do that because that's very inconvenient for them.
Yeah.
But that would make them really cool too. Hey, what if that animal that it's showing there isn't a salamander? What if that really was a T-Rex?
Okay, hold on. We're gonna zoom back to that animal in question. Okay. One in the chat if you think this looks like a T-Rex. Two in the chat if you think Erik Hovind is an idiot.
One of my favorite things about T-Rex, Dapper, is its pendulous tail, webbed hind limbs, clear ear, and very coiling pendulous tongue.
Yes. Those are all classic T-Rex characteristics. I'm taking a drink for just how stupid it is that this could be more likely a T-Rex than a salamander. Like, come on.
I just the fruit is so low hanging too. Like there are so many classic creationists. Look at this petroglyph. Look at this hieroglyph. Look at this ancient drawing. Boy, doesn't that look like some kind of marine reptile or dinosaur? And they pick this one of all the ones they could pick,
and then identify it as specifically T-Rex.
It just makes me drink again because it's like it's so lazy.
All right, so let's try to scrub through this a little bit again to get back to Erik, because I don't want to watch all that again.
Of course, it does look a little different. He doesn't
did have a long neck, too.
Did have a...
Oh, there's some pushback. Thank you very much. She is now my hero of the episode.
Thank God for Marianne, the only sane one in this entire production.
Hey, she risked her life to give that pushback.
She did. She knew. She was like, "Oh man, I can give this, but it might activate my
kill collar."
Yeah, my precious sense of kill collar.
Oh man.
Long neck. Oh well, it's worth a thought.
You know what? Maybe she's hanging out with Pastor Mike nowadays.
The thing is, she screams Hugh Ross to me. Like she just looks like an old Earth creationist, which, as we all know, old Earth creationists and theistic evolutionists are the ultimate enemy of creationists. It's not anything secular. It's not the big bad scientific establishment. It's those who manage to find a way to cope with both science and their faith that create the biggest problem to the evangelical. Unacceptable.
Are some stones found in Ika, Peru.
Oh goodness!
That have carvings of
the Ika Stones.
Oh
god!
They're found in the tombs there, and the tombs are between 800 and 1200 years old. They date back to before Columbus, and they have found literally thousands of these stones. Over 50,000 stones have been discovered, and they really do have humans and dinosaurs on them. Now, here's what's interesting. I actually went there to Peru in 2011 with my brother, and we brought back one of those Ika stones. We actually brought back.
By the way, guys, it is illegal to remove actual antiquities from Peru. You can get in a whole lot of trouble. You know the reason that Erik isn't in trouble and isn't going to be in trouble?
They're not antiquities.
Right, they're fake. They're made as scams for tourists.
The Ika stones are very similar to some of the many other kind of New World dinosaur scams, which is to say that they're usually found by some dude, some Westerner, right, who comes in and exploits local populace who are also looking to make a quick buck. And
I don't think that counts as exploiting. I think that just counts as hiring. Like, hey, I'll give you a bunch of money if you carve a fake stone for me. Okay.
The thing that's really weird about it, too, in my opinion, is, and not weird, but just very telling, is that it's always like, the dinosaur specs, if you will, are always very diagnostic of the period that it occurred in. So for the Ika stones, it's 80s depictions of sauropods and tyrannosaurs and theropods in general as these kind of lumbering, very reptilian, slow, sluggish, behemoth-type creatures rather than the rather swift and more forward-set animals that we know today. Yeah. So it's like, boy, how convenient.
All right, I'm going to see if he actually... I want him to show a picture of an Ika stone. Hopefully his.
Yeah, hopefully
three
his.
of those Ika stones.
We got three of them.
Here's the problem. Some of those Ika stones have been faked. They've been
It's true.
Oh,
Mostly,
God.
I'm taking a drink because it's mostly the ones with aliens, modern surgery, and dinosaurs, Eric. And we take a drink for Mothra.
Wow.
And a second one for Mothra.
Awesome. That's so... How epic, Eric. How completely epic and cool that you have some of the Ika Stones, many of which you just said were fake, all of which the conventional science community knows is fake. How awesome. Boy, I sure hope we go into the methodology of how we tell the difference between a faked Ika Stone and a legitimate Ika Stone, because I'm sure it'll be very thorough,
Oh, yes.
very legitimate, and carried out by conventional scientists. Perhaps
I'm sure that Eric's study on this has been published in numerous archaeological journals.
Oh yeah, he seems like the type for sure.
Turned out they're a fraud, and so we haven't really been able to absolutely use this as conclusive proof.
Drink from Mothra.
But just because there's a fake, I don't think we can discount all the ones. The numbers that I saw there were pretty impressive.
Wow.
It's in our museum.
Oh, another drink from Mothra. Here we go.
Yeah, and I brought that back through customs.
Wow.
They let it through. They didn't let my giant shark's tooth through, but they did let this one through.
I can't see
and
anything.
this one has a...
Okay, so hold on. You brought it through customs. So you brought what, if authentic, is extremely illegal contraband through. And they took your shark's teeth, which are actual antiquities of Peru.
Yeah, dude, the thing is that the folks who are running TSA were like, oh boy, it's another creationist. This is a classic, like, Buddy Davis kind of situation. Let's just let the, dude through. Like, it's clear that he doesn't know what's going on. We don't want any trouble. They don't want any trouble. Let's call it a day. Like, I gotta get home, It's just...
Oh, man.
It's completely insane to me. The leopards ate my face self-aware wolves style acknowledgement of, yeah, a lot of these are faked, but ours definitely aren't, is unbearably funny.
All right, let's see. I want to get a better look at this because I can't make heads or tails of what's on there.
Dinosaur, oh my goodness, large dinosaur, long-necked dinosaur right here.
Is
and
it?
then two natives with spears like they're hunting it. Now, it's not absolute proof, but nevertheless, still pretty
I barely even got to see it, Eric. Come on, man. Get a better shot.
fascinating.
Yeah, it's not absolute proof, dude, but, my picture of the horizon is pretty good substantial evidence, like circumstantial, rather, evidence of the flat Earth. So it's like...
There you go.
Basically proved.
I mean, if the Earth weren't flat, then why would there be a horizon?
Yeah, why would I have it? If it weren't just the ether playing tricks on me, why would I have it?
Right. And Zemore42 points out, all the Ika Stones that Erik needs to be authentic are known fakes. Yeah, as well as the Ika Stones that he doesn't want to be authentic, like the ones showing aliens.
Yeah,
so that's the thing that creationists always gloss over, is that from the same collection you have aliens coming. So if these are proof of dinosaurs, they're also proof of ancient aliens. But creationists don't like that.
Yeah, the creationist crowd and the ancient alien crowd aren't known for particularly getting along super well, so it does make sense.
Yeah, all right.
Very fascinating. I mean, to see the dinosaurs and their skin and everything.
Everything right there,
There's some pretty good evidence that they're originals. Well, right after the break, we are going to watch my interview with Brian Thomas.
They're
He's a
original.
science writer for the Institute for Creation Research. He's also an author of several books. One of them is Dinosaurs in the Bible.
Oh,
and
good.
there's also Guide to the Dinosaurs, which you can get at the Creation Today store.
Nice plug.
But you don't want to miss his...
Give us your money, kids.
Nice plug, he says. True story, Erik.
My goodness. Oh, man.
His interview, because he is going to give us some amazing information that tells us the dinosaurs did not live that long ago. So stick around. You do not want to miss this interview.
She's right. I don't. I'll take a drink for accurate information. I do not want to miss that interview.
Marianne is reading off of the teleprompter, and she's like, the shackles around my ankles are growing tired. Like, if I want to ever get out of here, I've got to sell this.
The book is called Chronicles of Dinosauria, and really it goes down through and documents these key areas of evidence. We know that men and dinosaurs coexisted because of biblical evidence, the historical evidence, the
Dave, calm down. This is like zooming through all of our evidence. I thought this was evidence. Let's go slower.
This is the commercial section.
Oh, okay, roger that.
And the artistic evidence, that's the iconography of dragons.
This is not ancient iconography of dragons, my dude, but okay.
Yeah,
also,
come on, Dan.
that's a Quetzalcoatlus? I wasn't going to complain about that Spinosaurus because it's cartoony, but that is the worst Quetzalcoatlus I've ever seen. I would never have even guessed that that's a Quetzalcoatl. I'm taking a drink for this. Like, there's...
Dapper, come on, it's the artistic evidence. Go easy.
No, I'm not going to go easy. Why does it look like a plucked chicken from the waist down? Why doesn't it have any wing membrane attached to the ankles and tail? Why?
It's the artistic evidence, Dapper.
Oh my goodness! This thing is like this is the most cursed Quetzalcoatlus in the history of art.
Come on, it's what are you gonna do? It's the artistic evidence. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit.
I have to hit play and make it go away.
And I document what, in my opinion, are the best pieces of evidence, each of those, and then I talk about the cryptozoological evidence of my personal research.
Cryptozoological evidence. Take a drink for that. Also, what is that? That's supposed to be Concan Venator? Oh my goodness. Taking another drink for that. I'm taking 2 drinks because that's Concan Venator.
The thing is like, how are we supposed to work with this? Where's the meeting us halfway, guys? Come on, get a good artist. Is that a bucking white stallion in the background too?
Well, I can't tell if it's a stallion, but it is a horse.
I feel like that looks like a stallion to me, but that's just instinct.
I mean, without looking between the hind legs, I'm really bad at figuring out the sex of horses, so...
Yeah, I don't know how to do it either, but it is funny to imagine, if they used a mare, that would be too feminist for them. You can't use a mare.
Well, here's an interesting thing about statues of horses. Statues of actual historical horses happen pretty often because, you get statues of, like, famous generals or whatever riding a horse that was actually their horse. And very frequently, they're carved as stallions when, in fact, they were males or mares or geldings. Because apparently, it's not impressive enough unless your horse has balls.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of...
Sorry,
go ahead.
Let us just disrespect the memory of all those mares, They didn't do anything. They didn't try their best, whatever.
Geldings.
And geldings. God, that was very sexist of me. Good point, Dapper.
Yes.
So you got those 5 key areas that are identified in the book, and it's available right now at
I'm taking a drink for, like, every one of this. This Amargasaurus, it looks like it came from a horror book. This absurd, unfeathered, aquatic Therizinosaurus hanging out with Adam and Eve. Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Dapper, it's available now.
Oh, good.
Dinosauria is available now for purchase.
I want to see if I can get it on Amazon and put it on my my wish list, because if anyone gets this for me, I will do a page-by-page review of this.
It seems like you don't really have a choice.
The Venerable Bede asks, what's a gelding? Well, a gelding is basically the horse equivalent of a eunuch.
It's usually done for purposes of, like, calming the horse down. The same reason you might neuter your dog in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, if you don't need your male horse for breeding, they end up being more manageable overall, and also not bugging the mares if you castrate them.
Yep.
Because you also don't want your valuable mares being mounted by a horse that you don't want breeding with them, because sex is somewhat dangerous for horses. It's not, like, super dangerous, but you don't need the risk. Don't do it. That's one of the reasons why horses basically don't have sex anymore in the modern world. They're pretty much all artificially inseminated.
The thing about horses, too, is that horses are pretty determined to die at any opportunity. That's like they have a very millennial outlook on life. And because of that, they're very hard to keep alive. And the only reason I know that is because once upon a time I was planning on being a veterinarian, and I'd take a lot of equid-related classes. It's hard to keep a horse alive.
Well, there you go.
It can be done, but it's not easy.
All right, here we go.
Creationstore.org.
Beginnings is a creation experience for small groups, churches, and individuals from all walks of life. Creation speaker Erik.
Oh, we've already done this one. This is the one that had the globe with the obvious seam in it, remember?
I thought that was an entire presentation that had the globe with the seam. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure he's reused it a few times.
Well, all right, but we also, if you remember, there were these big blocks on the stage. I think this is the thing we've already gone over.
There were, but remember too, from our classic presentation, we also had the treasure chest with the fake coins.
All right, if the treasure chest shows up in this commercial, I'm taking a drink.
Okay, deal.
Hovind explores the age-old questions of life, the evidence for
that's
a young
definitely the
Earth,
same thing. He's got the same props.
Dinosaurs fit in with the Bible. The included guide provides an...
All right, that wasn't the treasure chest, but Erika, those were the same props.
No, they were very similar. I can drink for that, mostly because I want to drink.
Introduction to each lesson, creative challenges, great discussion questions, and practical ways to apply each lesson to everyday life. To order this DVD, go to www.creationstore.org.
Planning your next vacation? Why not make it a creation vacation with the help of our new website, visitcreation.org.
What? Oh, I'm checking on that website right now.
I want a creation vacation more than I want to stay.
Creation, it was .org?
Vacation.org, yeah, I think so.
Oh my goodness, it's true. And oh, it's so US centric. Like, it actually has stuff all over the place. Like, it's got something in China and some stuff in Europe, but like, it's so much stuff in the US. I want to see what's near me. Oh my goodness, hold on. There's something. Creation, Evolution, and Science Ministries is not far from me. It's like an hour away from me.
Oh my god, I think that merits a video. I think you have to go.
Oh, I think I do.
I don't think it's actually a choice anymore.
Probably not, man. Oh, there's also something over in the Coconino National Forest area. What is that near? Oh, it's over by Flagstaff. I don't want to go to Flagstaff.
Gross.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with Flagstaff per se. It's just really far away to go for a creation experience.
Yeah, I've been to Flagstaff. I like Kaibab.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I were more, if I were just in Flagstaff generally, right, I would totally go. But like, the Creation, Evolution, and Science Ministries headquarters is in like Chandler, which is basically Phoenix, or no, I guess it's in Gilbert, which again is basically just Phoenix, which that's not that far from me. I could totally. I
mean, I drove like 2 hours to the Creation Museum when I was living in the Midwest, visiting my parents. So it's like, you could probably make the trip.
Oh, I could definitely make the trip to Gilbert, but Flagstaff is like 5 hours.
Oh God.
Yeah, Arizona's a big place.
Yeah, I wouldn't go 5 hours.
Yeah, no. But I might go like an hour to an hour and a half to get to the Creation, Evolution, and Science Ministries. So, yeah, that might be a thing that happens, guys. I'm gonna have to look into what is going on there, because that could be cool. It looks like it's in a residential neighborhood, though. Yeah, that's a house. I'm looking at the satellite image of this. It's a house.
Go to the house and find out.
Excuse me, do you have a time to talk about our Lord and Savior Tyrannosaurus Rex?
Pardon me, is this the Creation Science Ministries headquarters? They're like, yeah, that's
awesome. All right, I might have to look into this. It might not still be active or whatever, but I'm going to look into this, guys.
Here you'll find many activities from museums and science centers to caves and canyons, all teaching the truth about our great creator. Why wait? Go to visitcreation.org today to begin planning your creation vacation.
Oh, Erik, that's already done. But somehow I feel like that house in Gilbert, Arizona isn't a place I can stay for vacation.
The thing about that it's very funny to me is that it's very clearly all of this new creationism tourism thing that's going on is just a direct response to the Creation Museum and Ark Encounter. It's like, we get it. You want to do your own thing. Stop hiding it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, on the other hand, though, like, I mean, I get it. You want a piece of that pie. Competition is good.
I was going to say, natural competition. We like to see it.
Yeah. You know what? The more creation museums, the merrier, until the market can't bear it anymore because you got too many. You oversaturated. And then they all collapse. That's actually probably not what happens, but...
No such thing as too many creation museums. That's not possible.
Unless that number is 1, that might be too many.
You're watching Battleship Apologetics here on Creation Today.
Well, I am so excited today because I am here with Brian Thomas, science writer and speaker for the Institute for Creation Research.
Oh, we have a different kill caller now.
I love seeing Brian Thomas. I had an opportunity to see Brian Thomas once at the Creation Museum, and as fun as it would have been, I'm glad I hurried to the Ark Encounter because I got to see Ken Ham instead, and he's definitely the number one trading card here.
Yes.
So, Brian, thank you for joining us today. Now, you've written several books on dinosaurs, and could you share with us some of the strongest evidence for dinosaurs being younger than they're portrayed to be?
Soft tissue. Drink for soft tissue.
Oh, if he says soft tissue, we're drinking for it.
Boy, was it a shock to me, because I grew up thinking the only thing I had been taught was that dinosaurs lived and died millions of years ago. And I thought, well, if that's the answer, that's the answer. If science has proven that, then that's the way it must be.
I mean, science has come as close to proving it as it ever comes to proving anything, but, you know.
And then imagine my shock when I opened up a magazine, and in this magazine were pictures of still colored red, bits of flesh almost.
Oh my goodness.
Blood vessels, you know?
No. Things that are morphologically consistent with blood vessels. Mary Schweitzer herself isn't willing to call them blood vessels.
What would we call those? Fibroids, yes?
I'm not sure if that's what she's calling them. I would have to double check. I'm not saying that's not either.
From inside a Tyrannosaurus Rex bone.
Wow.
Now, I remember when I was in a museum, I was like 6 years old. It was the first time I saw a dinosaur bone of any kind. And it was in Wyoming somewhere. We were visiting my uncle. And anyways, walk in the door and there's this big giant, T-Rex skull that they put right at the kid level. And so I'm grabbing my mom's arm and going, what is this? My mom says, well, these are called dinosaurs. I'm like, what? I've never seen one. It's never been in my backyard, thankfully. And so let's ask the museum people, Brian. So she takes me over. What? And I ask him, what is this? And it's a dinosaur. And she carefully explained, and I remember this. She said, when you see these dinosaur fossils, you're looking at rock in the shape of a bone.
Not always true, but often true. So I'm not really criticizing this because that is the broad idea about fossils, but there are many times where the calcium fluoride is original still. So it might be a bone filled with rock, or in some cases it might just be a bone, because the thing is, a fossil is just evidence of ancient life. It doesn't have to be permineralized, it doesn't have to be anything in particular. But yes, it is usually the case when you go look at a dinosaur bone that is probably a rock that has filled in the shape of that bone. So, just being a little pedantic.
All the original bone material is all long gone. Millions of years ago, it disappeared during the...
He's going to make a point out of that. If he makes a point out of the fact that that's not technically correct, I'm taking a drink.
Long process of fossilization that took millions of years. And I thought, okay, I'm looking at rocks in the shape of bone. And then I opened this magazine. This is not rock. This is...
Yep, take a drink.
Hello.
The fact that some museum docent gave you a not entirely accurate description of what it means to be a fossil, and then that someone found soft tissue, isn't evidence for your stance, buddy. And the fact that we have preservation mechanisms.
I was gonna say you also have to put in quotations soft tissue. I mean, if you look into any even older creationist work on this, like that done by Fuzrana in Dinosaur Blood and the Age of the Earth, I mean, it's very clear that this isn't always soft tissue in the way that the creationists would like to create it to be.
They make it sound like you pop a T-Rex femur in your oven and you can get some nice cooked marrow to spread on your toast.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that is not what we're dealing with here.
No, we're dealing with things that have to be soaked in acid for weeks to tease away all the hardened everything around them, and then suddenly, after soaking in acid for a week, they're a bit pliable. Which, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can soak a lot of things and they become more pliable if you soak them in acid.
Like, for instance, ostrich marrow, which has been done.
Yeah.
This is blood vessels. This is still red, still stretchy, apparently.
No, it's consistent with blood vessels.
Apparently, he does.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think he's done any of the science? You think he's even read the papers?
I mean, I do doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think this guy has read a single paleontology paper. I'm going to go out on a limb. I can't prove it, but I don't think this guy has read a single paleontology paper, nor do I think he's read any of the papers by Schweitzer describing proposed preservation mechanisms, including those that she's tested experimentally.
About reaching out to Schweitzer, do you think that that's even a remote possibility?
Actually, it might be, because Armitage has talked to her.
Armitage has talked to her. Schweitzer does not have nice things to say about her.
No, she does not, despite the fact that he's claiming they're working together on some project.
Yeah, I think that's probably a friend of a friend type situation.
If that. I think it's just fabricated.
Yeah, that's definitely possible.
So I was intrigued, and I wanted to learn more about this. So I investigated it in more detail. So
investigated it.
Did she just look like she was about to cry?
Well, she's looked like that for most of this presentation.
Okay, but look at that. Look at that face right there.
She doesn't look great. She looks like she's feeling a little rough.
That is a human in what looks like acute distress to me.
Agony, some might say.
Yes.
More detail. So one of the key pieces of evidence that I found was the collagen protein decay rates.
Oh.
And so what that means is we have these proteins in bone. It's called collagen. It's kind of what holds bone together.
I mean, it's not just bone. It's basically everything. As an animal, you're basically held together by collagen. That's one of the reasons we know things like sponges are animals, even though they don't really look much like it. It's because they got collagen running all through them. So, should I take a drink for the weird take on collagen? Yeah, let's do it.
And scientists have estimated the decay rate using experimental decay studies. And how long does it take to fall apart?
I like that here we have creationists being like, oh, I mean, look, here's a study on the decay rate of collagen. That can't ever vary at all. Then we have the decay rate of atomic nuclei, which aren't affected by pressure or temperature or light or anything like that. Oh no, those must have changed in the past. We can't trust these experiments that give us the decay rates of atomic nuclei.
Of course not, Dapper. You can never trust the actual decay rates if they give an age that's older than 6,000 years. That's what you would call heresy in the biz. But the funniest thing about this is these references to collagen, and a mutual geology friend of ours actually did a brief post in our shared Twitter about this the other day, and I included it in my radiocarbon dating video. But when you actually add up together all of the collagen that creationists have compiled in order to test to actually get a radiometric date on, it's well below the error range for testing collagen, which means that they can't actually get a radiocarbon date on it. You need at least, I believe it's 1% or 0.01%, something along those lines. They can't even need that bare minimum. And as Fuzrana, who, by the way, is an older creationist biochemist, covers in Dinosaur Blood and the Age of the Earth, the nature of collagen preservation doesn't just have to do with like iron preservation mechanisms that are typically proposed for things like blood cells, or red blood cells, platelets, things like that, but also to do with cross-linking, which not only allows for holding together under extreme circumstances, but also rejoining after degradation. That's the nature of cross-linking. When exposed to proper chemicals, it can actually rejoin together, knit itself back together, as it were, but only to be recognizable as collagen. So, I mean, it seems to me that it's the job of these people to be informed of the literature, and I think that that's a fair statement to make. But it's very, very obvious that none of them actually are, or care to be.
All right, well, we are just about at the halfway point of this video, and we are also just about at 2 hours worth of stream. So I think we're probably going to cut it off here. I will be putting in the chat a link to where I expect myself and Erika to be next, which is on, of course, GTV, G-Man's channel.
The illustrious G-Man. We love G-Man. G-Man always wins, so why Dapper and I are even attempting to go on there is a mystery to even me. I mean, but look, we are going to attempt to debate G-Man.
He even won this discussion, and he's not even here.
He wasn't even here! Yeah, he wasn't even here anyone.
So, all right, guys.
Erika, he does always win. So.
Erika, what do you have coming up on your channel?
Boy, I'm still working on my Ark Encounter and Creation Museum video. It's very long already, and it's going to continue to grow in length. I finally finished at least the Creation Museum part, and I'm now officially editing the Ark Encounter part. But who knows if that's actually going to be done even remotely on time. In the meantime, you can expect from me this week to definitely get another Library of Errors video, and hopefully sometime soon we're getting another human evolution video. Specifically this time it's going to be on one of my favorite topics in human evolution, which is the Miocene apes, or the age of the Planet of the Apes, as it were. So that should be pretty fun. I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Well, let's see. For Dapper Dino, Thursday, so day after tomorrow, I'm going to be airing my re-upload of my Flat Earth versus Flat Earth debate with Flat Earth Aussie, where I argued also for the Flat Earth, and he called the Flat Earth stupid, which was fun. Despite my Flat Earth model better modeling what he actually sees in the sky than his model. So
that's so shocking to me that he would deny the Flat Earth like that. Yeah. Must be a globe head.
Yeah, there we go. Secret globe head, Flat Earth Aussie. Saturday, I'm going to be having Sal Cordova on the show, and we're going to be talking about the second law of thermodynamics, because Sal knows too much about thermodynamics to think that that's a good argument for the young Earth, or against evolution, or anything else like that. So, I'm looking forward to that. Then let's see. Tuesday will be another Kent with Bent. Then Thursday will be another Canadian Young Earth Creationism, and I don't know what's happening the next Saturday, but there's a fair chance it'll just be more spirit science. So, there you go. Now with 2 weeks worth of Dapper Dino channel stuff, there you go. Also, I am working on the next Speculative Evolution video. That's about halfway done. Slightly less than halfway done, but it's basically halfway done. And I don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but I do currently have 6 videos in the can waiting to premiere. So,
ooh, very nice.
I have more than a... Well, I just got one uploaded today. So that also means that if you're a channel member or a patron, expect over the next couple of days for me to upload several early access videos. So, and if you want to become a channel member or a patron, feel free. The more the merrier. It really does help keep this channel going. If I didn't have my supporters, I would have already had to, at the very least, scale way back on the channel. I can't say necessarily that it wouldn't be here at all, but guys, I've been doing 2 to 3 uploads a week for more than a year, and that's only because I have people supporting me for that. So thank you very much for that, because that's crazy to me that I've been able to do this for as long as I have. So
very nice.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to hit the end credits, and we're going to be out of here. So, Erika, if you have any final words, say them now.
Stay gentle, stay modern, and stay safe, everyone.
All right. Bye. I just want to take a second to thank my channel members and patrons, especially those pledging $20 and above. Bob Knob, Benthoven, Ian Chen, Chris Love, Sphincter of Doom, The Venerable Bede, Patrick Dennis, and Res Instance.
My channel members and patrons help make this channel possible, and without their support, this channel really wouldn't exist. If you would like to help support the channel as a member or patron, there are links in the description to both join the channel as well as join the Patreon. Patrons and members get mentioned in these credit scenes, as well as getting early access to my scripted videos, and if you pledge $10 or above, you can also get access to various 3D assets that I create for Blender, both for use in the channel, as well as just general giveaways to my supporters to help in any Blender projects they might have. If a monthly or annual pledge isn't for you, then there is also a merch store linked to the description, and if none of that's right for you, please just like and subscribe because every like and subscription really helps the video out. Thank you.